I am live. Sweet. Okay. Hey everybody. Good morning. Welcome to the Tune Musician YouTube live here Saturday, April 26th, 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. uh, I am just trying to make sure. Hey, thanks whoever's watching right now. There's a live viewer. I'm trying to make sure that I have everything going. I'm gonna wait a couple minutes too, so everybody can, I know that people are probably gonna see this video after it gets posted. So this is gonna go live. I got a few things to talk about here. Just creating fills, creative fills, kind of along the same theme as the last few videos that I put up. But I wanted to just give a few minutes here for people to join, and then, like I said, this thing is going to be posted on YouTube, so you're going to be able to watch it after after the live is done. So thanks everybody for showing up here. I need to figure out where my where the live stream is for YouTube, because I'm using this StreamYard app, and yeah, I'm using it because right now there's this cord that goes up to this microphone here, and so this is where like everything is. The audio input is coming through just this one mic. I tried hooking everything up to my mixer for just like the whole drum mix. I ordered a part. I went to the music store yesterday. I spent a few hours on it, but I more or less need like a splitter, two female XLR outputs to one input. So the problem is like the mixer was only picking up the first two channels, and that mixer is like, the first two channels are the kick drum. So it's picking up the kick drum, and then it didn't really pick up anything else. So I ordered something to where I can just make the outputs go to channel one. It'll pick up everything in the mixer, and then all the lives after this are you're going to be able to hear the drums a little better. But right now, this mic is what we're working with here. So the drums are coming in through here, and the vocals. So, and it's not even directly centered behind the drums. So if it sounds any way wonky, that's why, because we're not like set up right, I guess, as some like audiophiles would say. I'm just a drummer. I'm just trying to drum and make some content here. I'm trying to find the YouTube live video because it says it's live here on StreamYard, so bear with me here. But we're going to be going over some few things here, and then yeah, if y'all have any questions, if I could get to the YouTube. Oh, here we go. View on YouTube. Perfect. Okay. Cool. So that's good. I just need to be able to see the chat on YouTube, and I'm not able to on that StreamYard app. Sweet. Cool. So that's good. I just need to be able to see the chat on YouTube, and I'm not able to on that StreamYard app. Sweet. Okay, guys. 3 viewers. I appreciate y'all. Is there? Oh wait, comments. Yeah, there we go. Okay, I'm gonna. Sorry here if there's feedback. I found where the comments would be. Hey guys. Sweet. So we got comments there. Private chat. That's there. Sweet. So I'm just gonna go ahead and get started here. Hopefully you can hear me pretty well and see the drums here. But we're just gonna be talking about drum fills. And if you got any questions at any point in time, let me know. And then, hey, if you missed this live for whatever reason, you see it later on, and you have questions about anything within this video, just send me a message at evan@attunedmusician.com. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the comments, evan@attunedmusician.com. You could also just comment on this video if you have any questions. Let's go ahead and get started. So creative fills, there's a few things I wanted to go through, and I've talked about a few of those things here on this channel in different videos. I talked about linear drumming in one of the videos. Hopefully y'all can hear me well. I talked about linear drumming in one of the Phil's Creation video, the Phil's Factory series. And then this last video, I talked about inverted paradiddles and doubles and everything. So with that in mind, this lesson today, we're just going along the same path there in terms of fill creation. So number one of the things that when you're creating a fill, drum fill, you just want to think about how many beats do you want that fill to be? You know, how many, like, is it going to be a quarter measure fill, a half measure fill, a full measure fill, or even a couple measures? How long is this fill? I think that's important because I feel like we get so lost in, oh, I'm doing a beat, and I need to escape, and then do the fill, and then we don't really know like how long we want the fill to be. So it's like wherever you're at in the song, you're like, oh, there's a perfect half measure there or measure. Figure that out. For this example, I'm gonna show you here in a little bit. We're first gonna be using a full measure fill. So think of how many beats you want, because that's gonna help you. You're like, okay, it's a full measure fill. I know if I do 16th notes, that's ducka 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 ducka. That's 16. That's a whole measure. 16 possible notes just in the 16th note subdivision. You know, you could always, like I've talked about before, do mixed subdivisions, which would, you know, say for instance you wanted the first half of that full measure to be 16th notes, which would just be ducka 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 ducka. The last two beats, you could maybe want to do the sextuplets, so that would be 12 more notes. So ducka 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 ducka. And so in that case, that's called mixed subdivisions, and that just adds a little bit more zest, I guess you could say. It also is really good for your rhythm as a drummer. But for this, you know, you also got to think about after you've determined, hey, I want this to be a half measure fill or a full measure fill, quarter measure fill, two measure fill. What is the sound that you're after? Because that is something that we don't think about a lot. There's a pattern with drum fills, and they're very musical. And I feel like a lot of people just are like, yeah, drums are just noise. And it's like, yeah, you're not like really wrong. And a lot of people will complain about the sound, you know, which is why I've like, you know, put these like sheets up, and also just to kind of help with the acoustics in here in the basement. But think about the sound that you want. Are you starting out the fill with just a lot of, you know, because you could do a fill and start out with an accent and a crash, or you know, even a hi-hat and, you know, hi-hat raise and a snare. So like, do you want that feeling at the beginning of the snare where it's like, you know, and then, so in terms of that, you know, the sound that you're after, you know, I mentioned musicality, and as we're moving this fill I'm about to show you, for an example, we're going to take a whole measure fill. The sound specifically of this fill, it starts off more or less with an accent, and we move down the tone. We move to the rack tom and then the floor tom, and we end it with a hi-hat raise and a hi-hat catch. And that just is kind of like the way that looks and the way that sounds to people listening to the song, you know, the crowd and the band, is it's like you're playing the beat, and then the fill comes, and it's like, like, so it's like you're taking them down this journey, and then trying to express yourself. So let me just show you the fill that I'm talking about here, and it is a full measure fill, and it's exactly what I was just talking about. So the fill is just, so if that was in the context of a song, you know, as I mentioned, the musicality in that, it's like da 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 da, and it comes back into the, you know, wherever the song is. So it just creates a different sort of feeling. So right there, either the crash or the hi-hat, you could do, and I was just alternating there, so it was just, taking the listener down a journey, starting with an accent on the snare, and then coming back into the song. Cymbal catches too, I talk about those. That's something else, and hopefully y'all can see the drums, and it's not just, I'm limited here because there's a cord that goes from the laptop just to this one mic, because I'm, as I mentioned earlier, figuring out the mixer. So right there, I just alternated my hands. Something else you could think about is, okay, how else can I change the sticking there? You know, and we don't think about that enough as drummers. We get used to how we play. We get used to the right, left, which, hey, like, I'm not saying anything bad against it. I use a ton of single stroke rolls in my playing, but I am just saying it in terms of you're wanting to be more creative as a drummer. You have to think about your sticking a little bit differently and, you know, along with that, fill creation. So that was alternate. What if we did like right, left, left? I've talked about inverted paradiddles before. And then even, hey, like right, left, inverted paradiddles. What about leading with your weaker hand? That's gonna. Woo! That one's a little bit hard for me. And then the same. I just led with my weaker hand. Before that, I did right, left. Before that, I did right, left. What if I did, you know, left, right, or left, right? Yeah, that left, right is hard for me. And so that's really it. You know, I feel like a lot of people will play drums on YouTube, and it's like, oh man, they're really, you know, they're just flawless. There's nothing really happening. But as you see there, like I'm stumbling my way through these specific ideas for fills. And so with that, like, you know, we have right, left kick. We have right, left kick. We have left, left kick. We have left, right. We have left, right, which those last two, you know, any of the right, lefts or left, rights are all inverted paradiddles, or broken up inverted paradiddles. So, dude, sweet. Thanks, Mark. That's awesome, dude. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure that was hooked up. So like with those fills, you know, it's just like there's so much already, and we're doing the same thing. We're just changing the sticking. And you might ask, well, like how does that really help out? And more or less, it's going to help out in you being able to express yourself around the drums more creatively. Because the reason you're not able to is because you're tied up. One way or another, you're getting too comfortable with just the single stroke rolls, maybe not doing enough linear, maybe not slowing it down enough, because that's an issue that we run into as drummers. We don't slow it down and really, really spin the time there. And it takes time, and that's the thing, is like if you're not willing to put it in, you're just not going to see what you want. Another thing that we can do, if we take that same fill and change it up a little bit, I mentioned mixed subdivisions, and so with that we could do something similar where the fill is like so it's like and then we'll just do sextuplets on the tom and then end it with a crash. So I'm going to slow it down just to you know. So it's just, you know, the same thing on the snare, on the rack tom, and then it goes right, left, right, wait. Yeah, so right, left, right, kick, ends. So right, kick, snare, hi-hat, snare, crash, snare, bell, snare, splash cymbal, snare, cymbal choke. Just tons of, you know. So right there, leading with my left hand is another example, you know, bringing it to that fill. So, like, really spending the time there is going to help you. So, what are we at right now? 14 minutes? Okay. Same fill. We're just, you know, leading with the right hand, you know, the left hand, applying the same thing. And then we could even do paradiddles when we come to the tom and we have to do that sextuplet, that so it's like, and then on the tom, we could do right, right, left, left, right. Kick, so. I tried alternating there. Woo! So right there, that's even more of a challenge for me as I'm thinking about it. I start the fill off with my right hand, then left here, and then do the paradiddle thing here. See, this is where, and this is a part of it, it's... See, I need to slow it down. And so right there, as I'm talking about it in this lesson, I'm like noticing these little things where I'm like, man, I need to clean that up, because that's not where I want it at. And so just some different ideas there of those fills, of the fill creation. And something else actually with fills is, I feel like a lot of the times, this is the third point here. The first was think of how many beats that you want, whether it's a full measure, half measure, quarter measure. Number 2 was the sound you want. In that case, it was like, I'm taking the listener down this path where the notes get lower and then we come back up like an explosion. Number 3 is leaving space if you're, thinking that you need to play more. And I'm looking down at my notes here, and I talked about mixed subdivisions. And really in that case, we're playing more because we went from 16th notes to sextuplets on the toms just then with that fill. But there are, if we leave space, like I feel like we just worry about, I got to fill in every space with a note for my drum fill. I got to make it nuts and crazy. And we don't have to do that. And oftentimes, if we just leave the rests in certain spots, that's playing too. And I actually heard that from J.P. Bouvet. I took lessons with him for a while, and just that was one of the things he taught. So it's like really just letting the rests in the music speak, and that applies to drummers too. And so I just need some caffeine, but we could do so like. So instead of coming back in with the snare and hi-hat, I'm just thinking of different ideas here. You could do. Okay, we're just changing the last part. Sorry, I'm thinking of this as we're going. Something like that. What did I just do? Okay, sorry. That suspense. The tom, instead of doing the same thing, the pattern or a sextuplet, I'm just doing boom, boom, and even if I wanted to cut that even more at the end. Right there, I kind of switched it up. I just was like, okay, what if I took away the rack tom part? Let me move that out of the fill. There's space there. Let me take the floor tom, and I changed that a bit. And so just thinking of it different ways like that. And even if you wanted to, let's do the fill again. I'm going to take away the snare part, the first, and we're just going to go into, the toms and then do something at the end. So I'm just thinking of it, different ideas like that, where you're able to change it up and take away the fill, the continuation of it. Stuff like that, you know, it's just like really messing around. Like, how can I change the sound? Where can I mix subdivisions? What can I take from something like that? Like, that was a really cool fill, and that would sound like, you know. So that's all I'm doing. I sit down and I practice specific things, and then I'll, you know, and then fill creation is one of those things. And so with that, you know, breaking them into smaller pieces, if it's difficult for you to digest, like if that fill right there, that the one that we've been going over, if that's difficult for you, or any fill, you know, break it down into smaller parts. So we know that that is a full measure fill. And then so if we just look at each part, well, the first part is kick. It's really the same part across the board. It's just the flow of it. And this may apply to more complex fills where you're doing different stickings, you know, in the first, second, third, and fourth beat of a full measure fill. But slowing it down and breaking it out, you know. If the last part, say you're doing the mixed subdivision, the say that you just, you know, that one is something you may need to work on. Because that, I mean, linear can be difficult when you're first learning it, and in that case, it's 5 notes on the tom, followed by a kick drum. So you're completing the linear. And so that may be a part where you have to, you know, slow it down. Ooh, so that's a cooler one too. So maybe we take the fill even further, which is just sextuplets, but we're doing the linear there at the very last note. So like really being able to come up with fills that way. What's the time here? 23 minutes. Thanks, bro. That's number 4, breaking it out off into smaller pieces. What do you need to work on, you know? And then so being able to split up the fill in that way, that's what I do, and it's going to help you. So number 5, really we already talked about this. Same fill with different stickings. It's just going to open up the possibilities. So, you know, as I did on the tom here, I did right, left, kick. I could also do right, left, right, kick, which you saw me do. I was also at the very end there doing left, right, left, kick. And so maybe you'll need to break up that, and you know, and just work on the sticking for just those 6 notes. And then, you know, and start messing around. Like in this whole video here, I've just been doing snare, tom, you know, snare, rack tom, floor tom, end it with a crash. I mean, there's other things. And then even practicing stuff like that with the fills. Alternating right, left, then doing right, left, right, kick, and then doing, you know, left, right, left, kick, left, right, like just different stickings, and then even moving the kick drum. And so with that, you know, this live is 25 minutes. so far. I guess I'll take like 5 minutes here if anybody's got any questions. But this is basically the video. I just wanted to really go over these 5 tips. So one, think of how many beats you want the fill to be. Whether it's full measure, half measure, quarter measure, 2 measures. And then from there, what's the sound you're trying to achieve? Are you trying to start off explosive and take the listener down this like tonal road where the notes get lower and then explode up with a, you know, or whatever it is? Or you want to, you know, maybe it's a more subtle fill and there's no explosion, and at the end, you know, there is. Like, and you'll hear fills like that all the time. And really, the cool thing about drums is, you know, just being able to draw inspiration from others. You know, there's always like inspiration, you know, for drummers. And I think about like the video I just did going over shuffles and how you know, Bernard Purdy inspired so many drummers. You know, like John Bonham and Stuart Copeland, the drummer for the Police. And then I can't think of his name, but Rosanna's drummer, because they all did halftime shuffles, which is what you know, Bernard Purdy invented. And we're still doing those, and people are still, you know, whatever. But it's like we're always drawing inspiration from the last generation of drummers, and it's just going to continue. So I hope that this video has been helpful for you. Let me know what kind of comments or what kind of questions you have, I guess, and also even comments, you know, if there's anything. But this is the studio here. I was gonna try to get a video showing the studio. There's the Attune Musician light. There is all the sound stuff we got set up recently. There is all the that light over there. Studio light there that I didn't turn on because it would blind you. But my laptop's set up on my hardware case right now because of this cord here. Because this cord is the reason that you hear the audio you hear. So, hey, leave comments. Share this if you found it helpful. Like it. It really does help YouTube and the algorithm, and suggesting this video to other drummers, because I know there are tons of drummers out there on YouTube and even that aren't on YouTube yet that are looking for help. And I know that these videos I put out could help them and help you. And I just want to thank you all for subscribing and the support and everything. It means a lot to me, and I'm just really, really appreciative of it, and I just want to help. So, yeah. With that said, thinking of fills differently, creatively, how many beats you want, full, half, quarter, the sound you want. Number 3, leaving space. Don't worry about filling up everything with a note. Leave rest there. Those are, you know, that is playing too. And that gives a different level of suspense that you're leaving. Number 4, breaking everything into smaller pieces if you're having trouble digesting it, specifically for longer fills. And number 5, doing the same fills with different stickings to open up the possibilities for you. Practice open-handed drumming too, as you saw I was doing for some of those fills, leading with my non-dominant hand. So with that said, I'm going to end this live at almost 30 minutes. I just want to make sure that, yeah, I guess that it's just long enough, but then not too long. But with that, yeah, if anybody's got any questions, I'll probably just leave this open for like a minute, but then I'll just end the stream here. And then and this should go up on YouTube pretty soon. But, dude, I'm like sweaty. So I just want to thank y'all. Thanks for showing up. But thanks, Mark, for commenting, man. I'm glad that the sound is good. Like I said yesterday, I spent like 3 hours trying to get this sound hooked up, and I went to the music store, and they didn't have the part that I needed, which is just the splitter to basically go from the output of my mixer into channel 1 so that I can feed it through StreamYard, because right now I'm streaming through StreamYard, and that's like rendering to YouTube, and so that's why I had to pull up the thing earlier and make sure that this was connected. But with that said, thanks y'all. I hope this is helpful. Share it with anybody you find would benefit from it. But till next time, stay tuned.